Welcome back to my channel, guys. My name is Raggy Rog, and today I am bringing you a tier list in which I am going to take all of the newly introduced Pokemon from Sun and Moon, and by newly I mean like 6 years ago now probably, but today I am going to be rating all of the regional variants that we were given in Pokemon Sun and Moon. So that is Gen 7, it was an exciting time, we got a whole bunch of old Pokemon reimagined, and I love regional variants. Regional variants are such a cool thing because as we have now progressed over 1,000 Pokemon, and in the years leading up to that progression, it's getting harder and harder to remember and utilize our old favorites. So to look back on these older Pokemon and to see them like reimagined in such a way that they might be now competitively viable, or it's just like a new way to experience our old favorites who we otherwise just are tired of. It's a great idea, and I am here for it. So, today, nothing too special, just for any old reason, I am going to be rating them just as whether or not they are my favorites, okay? So the ratings are just going to be from S through to D, and yeah, we're going to get into it. Any old reason in the order that we see them, Alolan variants. So, starting off this list, we have Rattata. And, okay, Alolan Rattata, Dark type, I think he's Dark Normal. Not crazy about him. I'm respectfully going to put him in B because Alolan Rattata is kind of like your introduction to regional variants. If you play every Pokemon game as they come out, then Alolan Rattata is probably going to be the first time you see a regional variant of any kind. And I would say that with that in mind, he is a decent representation of what you might come to expect. So we're going to put him in B. Like, he's not terribly exciting, but that also kind of reflects Rattata as a whole. They're not better because they're a regional variant, they're just different. So there you go. Then we have Raticate, and I'm just going to put him in the same spot for pretty much the same reason. He's not better than regular Raticate, he's just different, so there you go. Then we have Alolan Raichu, and I'm actually going to put Alolan Raichu in A section. I'm not like mad about Alolan Raichu, but I think that because Pikachu, or Raichu rather, did not get a Mega Evolution in Gen 6, which would have been cool, it really helped that we got a regional variant for Raichu. I think it gives him fairy typing, which is pretty cool, and like he's just cute and adorable, and it's like I appreciate that, like, if you like Pikachu because it's cute, then you're probably not going to like Raichu as much, so you're going to be discouraged from wanting to evolve it. But then you've got like Alolan Raichu, who's actually adorable. So it's like, okay, now I can, evolve my Pikachu, keep him like viable, keep him like, keeping up with the team, and I'm not gonna suffer for it just because I want him, to be cute. Whatever. It's good. I like him. Then we have Alolan Sandshrew and Sandslash. For Sandshrew, I'm gonna put this down in C because it doesn't interest me too much terribly. I don't really like the shape of its face. Like, I get he's meant to look like an igloo, but I really had to stare at it for a while and be like, oh, he's an igloo. And even now that I'm saying that, it's like, I'm not actually 100% sure of that, so, As for Sandslash, if only because I really, really like Sandslash, I'm going to put him up in A. I don't think, as a regional variant, this is terribly interesting. It's pretty smart that they turned, like, his quills into ice shards. It would have been a missed opportunity for sure if they hadn't taken that route. Overall, he's pretty solid. There's nothing wrong with him, so, yeah, we're going to put him up in A. Then we have Alolan Vulpix, and it's clearly an ice type, and it's similar to Sandshrew and Sandslash, but like literally all they do is change the color. I think its tail is like a little poofier, but it's not even done to make it look like snow or anything like that. It's literally just like a different colored like Vulpix, and yet it gives it so much. Like, this is an example of how color is such an important thing in design, because they've changed it from a pink-orange color to, like, white-blue, and now you've got an ice type. However, it would have been more interesting if they'd done something with the tails. Like, its defining feature is its 6 tails, and they don't do much with it. So I'm going to put it in B. As for Ninetales, I'm actually going to put Ninetales up into S rank. Same story as Vulpix. It is clearly an Ice type, but I know that Ninetales is a lot of people's favorite Pokemon. So it's like, I would say that this is a well-deserved regional variant, because it's like, if you have a favorite Pokemon, of which Ninetales is many people's, then you've probably, and it's from Gen 1, all of these are from Gen 1, it occurs to me, but like, if Ninetales has been your favorite Pokemon since Gen 1, then by Gen 7, you've probably used it so many times that it's starting to get kind of stale. Q, regional variant, Alolan Ninetales, it's a whole new way to enjoy it, essentially. And like, unlike Vulpix, they actually do something with its tails, right? Where they're more wispy and kind of wild looking, like they're blowing in the wind or something. It's smart. It's a subtle change, but I appreciate Alolan Ninetales a lot. I haven't actually used one competitively. Maybe I should. Maybe should hit up Showdown and try that. But yeah. Then we have Alolan Diglett. And Alolan Diglett, I'm sorry, is just a D. I am rating these guys mostly for their design. I could be rating them for how they are used, like how viable they are competitively or not. But like, I didn't really use them all that much competitively. But what I do know is that Diglett's design is the most like lazy thing, because it's like, okay, not a lot of people's favorite Pokemon is probably going to be Diglett, maybe Dugtrio, but like for Diglett, it's like probably not a lot of people. So it's like, I can understand if you didn't want to pull out all the stops, but all they did was give it like a stupid little like thing of blonde hair, and he's like protruding out of rock, which is like, okay, so he's kind of protruding from like volcanic rock, I guess, because he's from the Alola region, which is based on Hawaii, and we all know that that place has volcanoes. There's a volcano in bloody Sun and Moon, so there you go. I feel like they could have done something else. You know, it seems wasteful that they would do so little for him. And I'm going to actually put Alolan Dugtrio in the same section. I just don't like the look of it. It looks really dumb to me. It's like they had an idea, because it's like, okay, we're gonna give him like 3 different hairstyles, and it's like, to this day I'm not sure what it's supposed to be. I think it's meant to be like a reference to like surfers and stuff, because they always have like the long blonde hair, and it's like, I don't, like, I'm just guessing at this point, but it's like, I like when a design is like intuitively obvious. I like to be able to look at something and be like, oh, I can see exactly what they tried to do there. So there you go. Not a big fan of Diglett and Dugtrio. As for Meowth and Persian, I'm gonna put Meowth in C, because like, it is just a grey Meowth, and it's like, I get it, Vulpix is just a white Vulpix, but Vulpix looks good in white. Meowth in the grey looks kind of, yeah, and grey is such a close color to what he normally is anyway. He's kind of like a creamy, almost peach color, I guess, like a off shade of white. So then they just made him a different off shade of white. It's I think he's meant to be a dark type. Maybe, I could be wrong. I'm just remembering it so wrong. But not a big fan of Alolan Meowth, and I am an even lesser fan of Alolan Persian. Persian is a Pokemon that I think deserves so much better than the rap that it's gotten, because it is just like that normal cat-type Pokemon that everyone just remembers from Team Rocket, like Giovanni's Persian from the anime. Otherwise, it doesn't get a lot of attention. I've always felt like Persian could have gotten so much more. If not another evolution, it could have just had like a decent ability or slightly higher stats. It could have had something to make him more viable. Even when playing games where I wanted to make a Pokemon designed for helping me make money, I thought, oh, Persian's payday is totally going to be the way to make that happen. But there's just easier, better ways without resorting to Persian. So he doesn't even get that as like the money-making Pokemon. It's such a shame, and I feel bad for him, so I'm sorry, but Alolan Persian down in D section. Then we have Alolan Geodude, and here, okay, so between Geodude, Graveler, and Golem, I am actually not sure what they were trying to do here. But what I can tell you is that despite that, it looks pretty cool. I like to wonder if the design we're given for variants would have made sense if this had just been how it came. So like if the first time you ever played Pokemon Red and Blue, if this is just what Geodude looked like, not the one that we know originally, but just if this was just his original design, would it have made sense? Would it have looked weird? And it's really hard to say, because it's like a regional variant needs to look different, and it needs to probably match the area from which they come. So does this match the Alola region? I'm not really sure, but I feel like with Geodude and Co, it could have actually been swapped out with the originals, and we would have never known had no one told us. So for Geodude, I'm gonna say this is a respectful B. Same for Graveler, just because it is like the obvious progression from Geodude, and we always appreciate that. And as for Golem, So I look at this and I have no idea what the rocks on the top of his shell are supposed to be. He looks like he's got a mustache, he's got like a furry chest. I have to wonder if that like rock formation on his top is meant to be like a claw, and maybe because of the fur on his chest he's meant to be like a hairy crab or something, which maybe you can find in Hawaii. I don't know. There's a lot of questions, but I'm just gonna put him in B as well. It's a cool looking design and I like it. It's cool enough that if you were kind of tired of using Golem, you might want to try him again. So I'm gonna give him that. Then we have Alolan Grimer, and I'm gonna say Alolan Grimer is also a B, because Grimer is essentially just sludge. There's not a whole lot that you could do with him. One idea I have is that instead of having him have the general same shape, you could have actually had him take like a completely different form. Because he is amorphous, maybe like the percentage of water that makes up his body might have been higher in Alola, so he's more puddle-like, possibly, or something like that, you know, just to really go ham on the actual design instead of just changing his color. But because he is just toxic waste and sludge in that, not a lot you can do. The other color we think of when we think of toxic waste, apart from like purple in that, is green, and there's some yellow in there, so alright, he gets a pass. As for Muck, I'm not sure what the rainbow is meant to be about. He's got the green and yellow like Grimer, but then he's got pink and blue in there, and it's just, I have to wonder if it's meant to be like oil or something, or like petroleum, because you do get those colors out of like petrol and gas and oil and stuff when the light is reflecting off of it. So I don't know if that's the thing. I'm not sure what the chunks in his body are supposed to be. I replayed Sun and Moon not that long ago, and I remember the part where you have to fight the two trainers with like their Grimer and Muck, the janitors. And I know that they talk about what the chunks in his body are, but I cannot remember what they are. But they gross me out. I'm also going to put Muck in B section, because like there is a justification for what those chunks are. I can't remember what they are. And if I'm right about like his color being a reference to like oil and petroleum and stuff, like then that's pretty clever and cool, because like finding that kind of stuff in the ocean and like island environments is a problem, and that's essentially what Grimer and Muck are an allegory for, is like finding toxic waste in urban environments where it shouldn't be. Then we have Alolan Exeggutor, and Alolan Exeggutor is like everyone's favorite, right? Because he got memed on with like the 600-foot tall long neck, and it's a fun idea. I recall that he's supposed to be a dragon type apparently, and it's not a bad idea. I'm gonna put it in A, just because like it's a very bold, drastic change, but it suits him. And I'm not so crazy about like the memes and that, but like giving him dragon typing and everything, like Exeggutor had not been viable for quite a while, so if nothing else, this has given a bit of love to a Pokemon that, as I understand, back in Gen 1 was supposed to kind of be considered a bit of a powerhouse. Like, he got a lot more love back then, so I'm glad that he got his due in Sun and Moon. And now, lastly on this list, we have Alolan Marowak, and on a rather climactic note, we're gonna put Alolan Marowak all the way up in S section. And my rationale is not just that he looks awesome, but he is now a fire ghost type. Now, the fire is obviously a reference to being a fire twirler, which is a practice that you see in Hawaii, which is what Alola is based on. That's a really cool reference. Now, I don't know if the ghost typing is ever really explained or acknowledged by Game Freak, but I see a rationale for him being a ghost type in that feasibly, one of the first ghost Pokemon that you ever see in the games might have actually been Marowak, because in Gen 1, when you go into Lavender Town and you go to the tower, you have to do the subplot featuring a Cubone being reunited with its passed away mother, the mother Marowak. And so, like, for a lot of people, that was like their first experience with a ghost Pokemon. But Marowak isn't actually a ghost Pokemon, it's actually a ground type. So now we finally have a Marowak who is literally a ghost Pokemon. Which I think, if that is the rationale, is one of like the most cool full circle things we've ever seen in Pokemon history. If that is not the rationale, I still think he's a cool design, and I love ghost types anyway, so there you go. And with that, we have all of the Alolan variants from Pokemon Sun and Moon rated. Comment down below which ones you like. Where have we rated them the same? Where have we rated them differently? I want to know. Comment down below your favorites and why. And yeah, if you enjoyed today's video, then make sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure to hit the bell icon as well so you can get instant updates anytime there's a new upload. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, Ragamuffins. I'll see you next time. Have a good one.